Hey guys, welcome back to Make That Sea Change. Paul here with you, and Make That Sea Change is my site and channel aimed at everything to do with setting up your own online business. Now, along those lines, today we continue my series of Affiliate Marketing 101 videos as we look at how to add images to a blog post. Now, as you start to build a website, if you're brand new to this whole affiliate marketing, building a website caper, you'll start to understand fairly quickly that finding images is actually not as easy as just simply copying and pasting from one spot into your post. First and most important thing is actually finding the images first. There are so many times where you think to myself, where am I going to find an image of this? Especially if you're talking about something that you can't readily go and take a photo of yourself. Say, for example, you're doing a blog on travel and you can't just get off your seat, go to Santorini and take a photo of the white buildings on the island there. You need to find a photo that you can use. So today we'll talk about the whole aspect of adding images to a blog post. We'll start with finding images. Then we'll talk about customizing them, getting them ready for use within a blog post. The stuff we need to add to them, as in keywords and SEO type influences there. And lastly, obviously, we will talk about we'll show you how to actually add them to a blog post. So let's get started, and we're going to start here with finding images and image types. So when it comes to choosing an image for your website, there's 3 or 4 main areas that you can choose them from. You can take your own photos, which, to be honest, if you can take your own photos, is probably the best option to use on an affiliate marketing website. It helps build authority. It helps people see that you are actually experiencing or doing or demonstrating whatever it is you're talking about, or you've been there or you've seen it or whatever it is. So your own photos is probably the most, to my opinion, the most advantageous way to do it. Google also likes original photos. Second one you've got then is stock photos. Now, once you get away from your own images, so photos you've physically taken or drawn or created, which we'll talk about in a second, then you're getting into your stock photo type scenarios. Now, the biggest issue you've got here is licensing. So just because a photo is on the internet doesn't mean you have the license or the right to use that photo. Technically, if I took a photo of, and I'll show you some photos of my barbecue site, which I'm going to use as an example in a second, just because that's on my webpage doesn't necessarily mean you have the license to use it. And the same is for stock image sites. There are some that you can use. I'll show you one called Pexels, which is free, that you can use. Canva, you can use the photos for under various rules. You can't just use the plain image. You can't use something that anyone else could just pick up and use as well. You can crop it, you can add your image to your own logo to it, etc., etc. So just be aware of the licensing arrangements of the photo you use. It could just mean things like Pexel and the like. You can use their photos. They do like that you give a shout out to the person. I can't remember the technical word for that, but what's the word? I can't think of the word. Anyway, give a shout out, have a link at the bottom, photo taken or supplied by such and such on Pexel. That sort of gets you around that, and you can use those images on your website. Now, the other option you've got is you can use AI to draw you an image, which means technically by using AI, there is a minute chance that AI could generate the same image twice, but it doesn't really matter. You still have the license to use it. And it is an original image that goes directly on whatever it is that you are using. So you can use that as well. From there, once you start looking at those images, now the big thing with images as well is if you get them off like a stock photo site like Pexels or Adobe or any of those, they are already customized for online images. Now, the 3 file types that you're looking for is JPEG, PNG. There's a new one that I've seen a bit called WEBP. Now, these images, WEBP, as far as I'm aware, comment below if I've got this wrong, but as far as I can see, that's the style that you'll get, that's the file type, that you'll get for AI images and the like. some image capturing software and image adjustment software is now starting to save under that prefix as well, or that suffix as well. Now, these images have been created for online use. They are small in size, but still high resolution and good quality. Now, I'll demonstrate that to you in a second. Now, the advantage you've got here is most software programs. I've got a couple of good cameras here. I've got a proper Sony web camera that I use for my barbecue photos. I also use my phone, which is why I had it in here and why you heard it beep a second ago. But I also use my phone for photos. To be honest, mobile phones can do images that are as good, if not better quality than some of the digital cameras you can get out there. But what they will all do is save it as a JPEG, which automatically reduces that size. Why is that important? Because when you load a web page, it downloads each of those images that are on your web page individually. So if they're too big, it's going to slow your website down and take too long to download. So that's what you're looking for. So look for your JPEG, look for your PNG. If you're downloading things out of Canva, a lot of those will be PNG or the WEBP file. And I've got some information about them in the post below as well. But anyway, let's go in and have a look at some of the images, how you can get them and what you can, and then we'll look at getting them ready for our webpage. Okay, so what I've got in front of us here is, you can see I've got just a file manager window open. And on here is a lot of the photos that I've taken on the camera that I just showed you, or my cell phone, for my barbecue site. Now, I've tried to build my barbecue site based around pretty much just photos of me and me cooking. So you can see lots of different meats there and stuff like that. And I mentioned before about the JPEG file. So these are JPEG. I have not done, these are raw photos taken purely taken from my digital camera or my cell phone, and basically copied from the card on there onto my PC. So you can see here that this is a JPEG file, 1.83 meg. So that is fairly small, 1.9 meg and 1.77 meg. So they are quite small. They're actually still even a little bit large for a website. You want them, and you can get them down to just a couple of kilobytes if you really wanted them to be smaller. And if you're having issues with download speeds and the like if you're looking at SEO, then this is definitely an area where you can increase your speed of your site. But if I open this photo up, and I mentioned before about quality and resolution. So if I open this up just in a plain editor here, you can see here that the quality is quite good. You can even see smoke on my shirt there. You can see the smoke, you can see the flame, etc., etc. Now, a good resolution, so this is low resolution because it's only 1.8, but what you want is the quality to stay. So if I blow this up, you can see that it's still quite clear. It's starting to pixelate just a little bit in there. You can see it's starting to pixelate a little bit. But if it's a good quality image, you'll blow it all the way up and it doesn't pixelate. That is what you're looking for, and that is what JPEG and PNG and the like give you. So if you're saving it with those file types, and as I mentioned, this is purely taken off a camera and copied straight over, and it is ready to go. So that is the first option you've got. If you're taking your own photos, obviously you take your photo, copy it on, and you can use them. The second option you've got here, this is a site called Pexels. Now, it is free barbecue photos. The license agreements are that can be downloaded and used for free. All photos are free to use. Attribution, that's the word I was looking for, not required. Giving credit to the photographer is not necessary, but always appreciated. And you can modify the photos and videos and edit them as you like. So if you don't have a photo that you're looking for, this is a good site that you can go on and try. The problem is that there's not as big a range of options as you may be looking for. So if I look for barbecue pellet smoker, for example, so I've got some options there. That's not a pellet smoker. That's definitely not a pellet smoker. That's not a pellet smoker. Neither's that. So you can see that because there's not a lot of options for pellet smokers, it's giving me a lot of smokers. That one's a pellet smoker by the looks of it. I haven't, and there's a smoker. So you can see that, but I have got images there I can use. So I can use some fancy cropping if I wanted to. So I could, take that photo and crop it down and make it look like it's a pellet smoker and use it from there. Now, what it means by editing is what I like to do with my photos is if I go back to my photo there, open that up, and because it's going to be a large size, I can then use a tool, and I can't use that tool at the moment because I'm using it to record this, but I can use a Snagit. I use Snagit. I can cull that down or crop that down so that it's a size that's suitable to my post or how I like my images to look. So you can get your images from, as I mentioned, your own stock photos. You can get it from things like Pexels. You've got Adobe image options there that you can use to download your photos. Some of them are paid and some of them are quite expensive. So you can get you've got Shutterstock, iStock Photo, Adobe stock photos. They're all paid and they give you a lot more options. So if you can afford it, I think Adobe, day one starts about $39 a month and you get 10 images or something like that. But you do get a lot more options when you do your searches to find what it is you're looking for if you're using stock photos. Now, the third option you've got is to look at AI. So this is an AI. I've got just ChatGPT open with DALL-E Batch Creator here. Can you draw me a photo of a person using a barbecue? There I go. Now, if I start using, can you draw me a photo of a person using a pellet smoking tube? I might not get as good an image as what I did with what I get with my own photos, because it's you really have to talk to some of the AI. There's a lot of different AI. Oh yeah, there you go. So there's a smoker tube that's taken that image of there. So I may choose to use that instead of my own image. That's an original image. No one else has that image. I can use that for my web page, and I don't have to worry about licensing or anything like that. I can crop that. I can do what I want to do with that as well. So if I download that, see how it's a WebP file, and I'll call that Smoking Tube AI. Done. So I've downloaded that image and it's now ready to go. So what I can do now is I can add that to my blog post, or I can use my own image, which I've got there, or I can try and find one as a stock photo, either on a paid, which, as I mentioned, is your Shutterstock, your Adobe, etc., or you've got your Pixabay is another one which gives you free images. You might want to have a look at that one. Unsplash is also another one that gives you free images as well. To be honest, a lot of them copy across each of them. But that's how you find your photos. So your own personal photos through a stock photo site, or you can create your own images with your AI. Okay, so that's how we find our stock photos. So as I mentioned earlier, take your own photos, go to stock photo sites, or you can draw your own through some sort of AI platform. There's plenty out there. Windhammer, I think, is another good one. Anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to load the image into our blog post. Whilst we do that, I'll take you through some of the other things that you can do with your images as you load them. We'll look at an image that is cropped, which I've already got in there, so you'll be able to see what I mean by cropping it down. We'll also look at setting the AI, the SEO aspects of it. I'm using an SEO plugin called Rank Math for whatever website you're using, whatever platform you're using. You'll need to work out where your SEO is for the metadata for your image. Depends on the plugin you're using, and as I mentioned here, I'm using WordPress. If you're using Wix or Squarespace or something, you'll need to find out where in the editor that you enter that image information in as well, because it's quite important for your SEO, search engine optimization. It helps the search engines find your images, find your posts, rank them, and because people can do a search in a keyword and your image can pop up. they click on that, find your website. That's another way that you get traffic. Anyway, so let's have a look at adding an image to our blog post. So I'm in my post here. As I mentioned before, I'm in a WordPress editor. I'm using Block Edit here as well. I've got my rank math stuff up the top there, which will pop up when I add my image. Now, as I scroll down, the first thing you can see is an image that I've loaded in here. This is an image of me with my holding the smoking tube. If I try and find that original image, see that there, they are a lot bigger than what the image is. There's a little bit more to them. And what I've done is I've actually cropped that down, so I've only got the half of it. The reason I've done that is because I just wanted that to be slightly shorter in length, and I tend to do that with most of my images. So you can see here I've got another image of the smoker in the tube in the smoker. If I find, I close that off. So if that image again had the lid and the whole lot again, so that would be the whole image that I've cropped down. So if I'm adding an image now, so I'm just using my block editor as I mentioned, so you will add the image however you want it to come from. I'll open up Media Library and I need to find that image and load it across. So I'll do that now. And I found that image, so I just drag that in to load it up. And you can see that that is the image there. Now what I need to do here is, you can see that the file is called pellet smoker tube, me holding tube. If I close that off, the reason I've named it that is because my keywords that I'm tracking here is pellet smoker tube. So when it comes to working with images within a website, so adding the image is fine. So I've added the image. You saw where I got it from. It was a photo that I've taken. It's a JPEG photo, and it is of a smaller. It's a JPEG, so it's quite small in size, and I have cropped it a little bit, which means I've just used Snagit and cropped the image down. There's plenty of photo management or image management software options out there, both free and paid, that you can use to crop photos. And then what I do is I go to my media library, and it's called pellet smoker tube, me holding tube. So I've got my keywords in the photo title, and that title has come across there. So pellet smoker tube. So what I need to do here, and this is the part that I mentioned before, this is happening because I've got rank math. So this is coming from my SEO plugin. So I then type it in my alt text and my description. Now the description will come up, that's what comes up for if it comes up in a search engine type scenario. And the alt text is if you've got people who view your websites who are vision impaired, they might have software on there, so if they move their mouse over it, it reads out what the image is. So I've got both of them on there, and that is enough for my SEO. If you want a caption on there, so if you want a caption on there, I don't use captions. Some people really like them. The caption is where you'd put it in if you're doing attribution that we talked about before in the stock photo options. So me holding a smoker tube, I select that. There's my image, there's my caption. So you can see the other ones, I haven't got a caption here. I don't tend to use them, but I've got that one on there. So that's my image in there. So that now has been, so as I mentioned before, if I click on replace here, I can see that information I got in there. So I've got my keywords in my title, keywords in the alt text, keywords in the description. That's called the metadata. I'll remove the caption because it's not in line with my post. I didn't save that. Anyway, I'll fix that in a sec. And you can see that we have my image loaded into there. Now, if I want to replace that, because what I want there is I want an image of me lighting it. So I'll put that over. It's pellet smoker tube, so I've still called it that, lighting a smoker tube. So I've pre-named all of my images with that pellet smoker tube text. So as I've saved them, I have named them in the name of, with my keywords, and then a quick blurb of what they are. I select that one, and that has replaced that. So I've got that now with me lighting the smoker tube. And again, you can see that as being cropped. In the original graphics for that, it was a full photo of me using it, and I cropped it down using as I keep mentioning, I use Snagit. So as you can see there, I've got the full image on the original image, and I have cropped that down to go into my post. And everything else you've seen there, as we mentioned, it's a JPEG. I put the metadata in. I can now save that post, and it will be on my post ready for viewing. Okay, and that is how you load an image to a blog post. So just to recap, find the image, make sure it's of the right format, JPEG, PNG, or WebP. You can, once you've got it, find out, make sure your licensing is all right. If it's your own photo or AI, you're good to go. If it's stock images, just make sure you've got the license to use it, to crop it, to edit it, to do whatever you want to do with it. Some of them also allow you to use it for personal use and not for business use. Now, they talk about that as putting it on a poster or a business logo or something like that, but just double check that as well. And then once you've done that, you can crop it with whatever software you want. I'll do another video on cropping and preparing images. But then once you've got it into your blog post, you then do your metadata. So you just make sure your file name matches your blog post and your keywords. Then your image, the name, description, and alt text also have your keywords and the like in there as well. Once you've done that, you are good to go. So comment below, let me know if you've got any questions, need any help with your images. Let me know where you find your images from or what you do to edit your images as you go. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or need help or any feedback, and we'll talk soon. Speak to you then. Bye.